This
Great. Give me
conference
just
will
30
now be
seconds.
recorded.
Hello.
Good morning. We're just about to get started.
Good morning, Tom. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Treasurer. You can go ahead.
Great. I was trying to join on the computer where I could see you, but that doesn't seem to be possible with my technology this morning. I'd like to call the April 27th, Thursday, 9 a.m. meeting of the Teachers and State Employees Retirement System Local Government Board of Trustees to order. With that and calling it to order, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Office of State Treasurer, both in person and remotely. Tom, would you please stand and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and our salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of North Carolina and pledge to the old North State love, loyalty, and faith.
Thank you, Tom. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you today, and thank all of you for joining us. And at times I'll be chairing, and other times Tom will be chairing. And I don't know if Chief of Staff Brandon's there, but we'll get through this. If anyone wishes to make a comment, public comment, we have a public comment section, and you can sign up to be a participant in the public comment section by emailing Patty. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted online with other board materials. We ask that you mute your phone or computer if you're not speaking. We'll take roll call by name for all votes without objection. If there's a motion or second to be made, we'll be considering those yes votes. Hearing no objection, board members, if you have to leave the meeting at any point, please announce your departure, and if you return, please announce your return so that these items can be recorded in the meeting minutes. Likewise, state your name before speaking, and finally, just remember any text or any recorded communication between board members during the meeting, even on personal phones or public records, to the extent they concern the matters of the meeting. And we'll now do a roll call.
All right. First, the Teachers and State Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Dale Falco.
Here.
Blake Thomas for Barbara Gibson. Catherine Truitt. Dirk German.
Here.
Thank you. Jeffrey Winstead. Here. John Ebbinghausen. Here. Joshua Smith. Joshua Smith. Lance Brewer.
Here, good morning.
Morning. Margaret Reeder. Here. Oliver Holly.
Here.
Oliver Holly. Oh, thank you. Pat Hurley.
Here.
And Vernon Gammon. So I don't have Catherine Truitt, Joshua Smith, or Vernon Gammon. But we have a quorum. And now
Okay, thank you.
Now the Local Government Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Dale Falwell.
Here.
Brenda Howerton. Brenda Howerton. Don't hear Brenda. Clea Atkinson. Clea Atkinson. I don't hear Clea. Homer Dearman. Here. Thank you. Jeffrey Morse.
Here.
Thank you. Kevin Gordon. I don't think Kevin's attending. Lance Brewer.
Here,
Lance
good morning.
Brewer. Oh, thank you. Melody Brady.
Here.
Thank you. Nancy Vaughn.
Here.
Thank you. Pat Hurley.
Here.
Tony Brown.
Here.
And Vernon Gammon.
Tom, Joshua said he's having issues with his mic, but he's on.
Okay. So Joshua Smith is online. He just can't speak.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 2, ethics awareness. Members, you've seen the agenda regarding conflict or potential conflicts of interest. As you have reviewed the agenda, does anyone present have an actual potential or appearance of a conflict of interest in these matters? Hearing none, should conflict arise during the meeting, please make the chair aware. We'll now ask for a motion to approve the January 26th meeting minutes for the state board.
Sir John, approved as written.
Second.
Motion is second being made. Further discussion. The clerk will call the roll.
Okay. Dale Falwell.
Aye.
Blake Thomas. Aye. Catherine Truitt. Dirk German.
Aye.
Jeffrey Winstead. Aye. Joshua Smith. Can't hear Joshua. Lance Brewer.
Aye.
Oliver Holly.
Aye.
Pat Hurley.
Aye.
Vernon Gammon's not here yet. All right, so we have all in favor.
Thank you. And I'm getting a pretty big echo here. You can do something about that, Tom. I'd like motion from LGERS meeting members to approve the meeting minutes of January 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion second being made. Further discussion. Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Dale Falwell.
Aye.
Brenda Howerton. Clee Atkinson. Jeffrey Morse. Jeffrey Morse. I don't hear you. Thank you. Lance Brewer. Is that Lance?
Aye.
Thank you. Melody Brady.
Aye.
Thank you. Nancy Vaughn.
Aye.
Thank you. Pat Hurley.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Next is item number 5, adoption. Sorry, Tom, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Item 5, adoption of resolution of appreciation for the services of Linda Gunther, recognizing her outstanding service as a member of the Board of Trustees for the Teachers and State Employees Retirement System. Members, you have this resolution in your board materials and the board book. Entertain a motion to approve this resolution, which we will sign and send to her.
So moved.
Ms. Oliver Holly, I'll second it.
All
Thank you.
right.
Further discussion. Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Dale Falwell.
Aye.
Blake Thomas. Aye. Dirk German.
Aye.
Jeffrey Winstead. Aye. John Ebbinghausen. Aye. Joshua Smith. Lance Brewer.
Aye.
Margaret Reeder.
Aye.
And right. All in favor, Mr. Treasurer.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is to hear from the people who actually run the trains and keep us in the tech delivery business. We're pleased to be joined by Rick Lopez, Director of Operations, Tanya Bass, Director of Member Services, as well as Mr. Actuarial Joy Patrick Denwall, Director of Policy Planning and Compliance. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
And can everybody mute their phone during this presentation? That might help us on our feedback a little bit.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We're just going to take you through, I'm not sure when we're getting the slides up, but I just want to take you through some information with each of the departments and operations, starting with retirement processing. We already have over 3,000 retirement requests for July, and last year we ended up with total retirements just at under 4,000. So we already have a lot of requests, looking like it might be a record, but still don't know quite yet. Of course, with each of those requests, we do all the work. So even if somebody cancels their retirement at the end, we've still done a lot of work to prepare them for their estimate. They may even take it to the point of us cutting a check for them. If they don't cash that check and they decide not to retire, then they don't have to. But we do a lot of any request that comes in, we still start the process of that. With the slides, you'd be able to see that in January, that's our second largest retirement month after July. We had almost 2,400 retirement requests for January. I see we've got the slides now. Turnaround times are in really good shape right now. Obviously, as those requests increase for July retirements, that's going to impact particularly when people put in for retirement, our turnaround times. Because we're counting on them to deliver us information, we're also counting on their employer to get information into us timely. And so we are subject to wait times on those. But right now we're doing great. Working a little bit of overtime on that. We've upped staffing over the past year, and we're poised to continue any increases that might happen for the next few years, I think. With death processing, looks like our reported deaths are trending downward, although in March we did have over 1,000 deaths reported. But it's good to see that under 1,000 for a few of those months, something we've been watching closely. We have added positions to that section. We're also working overtime there. With those added positions, including our working supervisor, we have 18 people now in that section. So we are going to add another supervisor to that section so that we can handle that. We generally in operations have 7 to 10 people per supervisor. It takes a long time to train in any of these positions, some sections more than others. But with death, it's particularly complicated because we pay multiple types of death benefits out, and we may pay ongoing monthly benefits, SABs. So we're going to add another supervisor there so we can get more hands-on training, make sure everybody's learning at a good pace, address any concerns with retraining, and that's coming our way. So doing pretty good on turnaround times there. A lot of that has to do with some of the changes that we've made, but also just the volume in general trending downwards. With disability processing, the section currently has 2 positions open. We just hired someone this past Monday. It's been one of our sections that's been challenging. Disability is uniquely complicated and different from the other sections. It takes a long time to learn disability. And in fact, in our call center, when people are hired, they don't learn disability. They are taught disability until, depending on their pace, but roughly around a year into their employment. So we've had a difficult time retaining people. We're trying to hire quality staff. We want to make sure we get the right people in place. So I'm not opposed to relisting to find the right staff. But we have hired 2 people. Another one's starting on Monday. We're going to repost on that 3rd position. But even so, we're still doing a good job with our turnaround times there. And we only missed 1 month the goal is a 60-day turnaround time from the time you apply until your payment's received, average days. We only missed that one time by 1 day. So we're doing a good job. Our supervisor works very hard. All of our supervisors are working supervisors too. So in addition to training people, annual things like SOIs, R&Ds, SOI statement of income for disability recipients, and for processing those, she's still working. So that section is doing really well. That section also handles our refunds. And with that, we had over 1,800 requests in February and nearly 1,300 in March. So that's over 3,000 requests 2 months. But our turnaround times are still remaining under the 20-day goal at around 16 days from the time we pick up that request. So doing a good job on those. All of our disability section, about a year and a half ago, our refunds were dedicated to a core group of staff. We had one QC, she retired, and we had 2 analysts. But what we've done is we've cross-trained everyone in refunds to handle, in disability, to handle those refunds. So that's been very helpful with our turnaround times there. For payroll processing, we had over 357,000 payees in March, and we paid out almost $600 million. That's nothing really surprising there. We're I think are at around 353,000 for April. So that's where we are right now with that. It's all based on retirements and how many people retire, but nothing significantly changing over the last 2 months. For Orbit self-service, you can see that we had nearly 1.5 billion estimates using the self-service estimator over the last 12 months. And that might be one person hitting that site multiple times. But the point is we do estimates for you in-house too. We only have 2 people doing that. So without that self-service estimator, that's a lot of paperwork coming in, a lot of delays, a lot of shifting of work, and a volume that we just wouldn't be able to handle without the self-service estimator. So you can see how important that is to our business operations and what we do. Also, you can see that over 275,000 beneficiary updates were made by active employees. That's 275,000 forms we don't touch. That's snail mail. If you go in online and make a change, it's instant, immediate. You get a confirmation of that, and it's done. Obviously, when you submit that information to us, we have to wait to receive it. We have to assign it, delay in processing. We'll still honor the date of that form, but the point is that you can do it instantly online. So that's something that we're really proud to have in that self-service module in Orbit. You can see that we had over 67,000 direct deposit changes made too, and that's just helpful in what we're trying to do with the operations staff that we have. We're constantly talking about adding things to Orbit self-service. We have a couple of items on deck that we feel are going to be impactful. We're still working through those. One of them is ready to begin coding. So we're working with our IT partners to start on that. And then another one is something that we're going to be holding meetings on upcoming that's impactful with regard to statements of income and disability that we're hoping to be able to put online to help us as well. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Just one question. Your classification that you're recruiting for in your disability section, what is that classification?
The analysts are NCO9s.
Okay, and they're called?
Administrative, what is it, Tom?
Administrative Specialist 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the intro salary, if we bring someone in off the street, the intro salary is right at $49,000. So we feel like we're in a good position to attract people with that salary compared to other agencies. But that's always a challenge. And what we don't receive are a lot of applicants that have any disability experience, and that's ideal, though the right candidates we're willing to train. And it's just difficult to find for that particular niche of difficulty, disability, the right candidate all the time. We've had some turnover, and we're really just trying to address that and hiring the right people. And we're no benefits, stock compensation.
John, last quarter you had mentioned we started looking at people who are vested in the program over 60 years old or over 65 years old and not yet collecting benefits. And maybe as the treasurer said, you started reaching out, trying to track people down.
We do. We send, what we're doing right now is robo email blasting what we've identified through query of roughly 800 to 1,000 weekly. You have to be careful about that volume just because we have a amount of staff to do the work. I believe we're seeing result based on what I'm seeing. It's kind of a steady 1,000+ refunds requests from us. But it's hard to really pinpoint whether or not that's working. I think we are, but it could just be timing. But
yeah, we're still doing that outreach. The next part of that that we wanted to limit is actually trying to reach out to people through mail. We may do postcards. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet. We've got that. I've already worked with IT to identify how we want to try to do that, and we've had some conversation. But we really wanted to optimize, limit expenditure with robo emails, so that when we do start spending money on postage, one of the frustrations for us when we've tried to do this before is actually people have moved. So we just give them a lot of return mail, and it's a waste of postage, and it's just the cost to the taxpayer. So we're really trying to just reach out to people through email, which generally people keep.
What's the volume? I mean, what's our total count that you're looking at? Are we talking 10,000?
Well, the total count, gosh, I think that was like 98,000.
It was about 100,000.
Yeah.
So trying to limit the costs as much as we can.
And when we queried it again for a second time, just as a little, John, after about 6 months, it hadn't significantly gone down. And that's kind of where I'm trying to see, all right, who took us up on this? But we did have some takers. I mean, it dropped around 12,000. So I feel like that was reasonable. So that's why we kind of re-queried in a different way to get a different population to see if we could attract more people too. So we're still working on that. And just so people know too, I want people to understand clearly that with any of these, and it's particularly helpful in an email content, we tell you what you're losing if you decide to cash out and ask us for a refund. We tell you that, hey, if you're vested, which right now we're not really touching vested people, but if you take it out and you decide to come back, you're starting all over again. That's a very important part of that and what we can do and what we'll do in a postcard or any kind of correspondence we send out as well. I know Linda had brought that up, and that's I'm sensitive to that and I understand that too. And I want to make sure we do it the right way. All right. Anybody else? Thanks, guys.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Bass. I'll be going over member services, which consists of the retirement education group as well as the call center. We'll start with the first slides in the education retirement group and going over our correspondence numbers. Over the last 3 months, January to March, we've responded to over 24,000 pieces of correspondence, keeping us within the average of 7-day turnaround time. As you can see from the graph, well, you can't, but comparing to the first quarter of 2022 to the past quarter of 2023, we've had a significant increase of 32 pieces of mail come in due to members questioning the new IRS tax table changes. Even though it's normal to see higher numbers during this period because of tax season, that new tax table change, as well as people sending in their statement of income for disability, has kept us very busy the first quarter and receiving correspondence. We continue to do our webinars. For the fiscal year, to date, we have conducted 155 webinars and employer trainings with about 7,200 attendees. We recently trained 5 additional counselors to be able to conduct more training webinars and create videos to help with educating the members and employers on retirement, from when to retire, how to retire, and all things in between. Moving on to the next slide with our visitors and counseling sessions. From January through March this year, we have conducted 230 appointment counseling sessions, and we have assisted over 775 visitors in the front office. We have started to see a request for one-on-one counselors decline from last year this time by 52%. It is my belief members are seeking more assistance on the phone with our counselors and also utilizing the information we put out on the website through our communications department. And with people coming in the office, as you can see, it's been an increase since we have opened up the front office. I believe people are dropping off their forms and they're being able to ask questions when they come in with a trained counselor at the front office. Our emails, we received over 24,000 emails from January to March, which is a 7.4% 43% decrease in volume compared to the first quarter of last year. We've had a 17% increase in volume from emails since January due to, again, being the tax season and the new IRS tax changes. But if we remember last year, this time, we was trying to figure out how we was going to get from under those emails. So to have a decrease from last year this time, even though we do have a high volume, is still something that we're proud of. And that is all that I have in regards to our education retirement outreach group. And I will move over to the call center if there's no questions. Okay, we'll move over to the call center. In the call center, we have reduced our speed of answers since January from 25 minutes and 15 seconds to 21 minutes and 12 seconds, totaling a 4% reduction and a 9.6% reduction since March of 22, which was 30 minutes and 48 seconds. And because the call center has been dealing with a whole lot of vacancies and high call volumes, that number is not where we want to be, but I'm still proud to see the decrease in that. We are still working on staffing, but we were able to add 4 additional counselors just recently to the phone, and we are scheduled to have another training class May 22nd with 5 to 6 more counselors in that. So we're hoping to increase our staff to better improve these numbers. So we are going to the calls offered, slide, and abandonment. In September of 2022, we went live with the new phone platform, NICE, as well as redesign our IVR system, which is our integrated voice system. And we added a feature, callback assist. Since January, we received over 145,000 calls through our integrated voice response system, and 30% of our members were able to receive assistance without having to speak to a counselor. So that is really good news. Over 85,000 calls came to a counselor, and we were able to assist them through direct contact or with the member having the option to call back through callback assist. So the callback assist has really helped us with our abandonment rate and being able to service more members because they're not having to wait to speak to a counselor with us being short staff. And the integrated voice response system was redesigned to be able to get members' status of application on certain things like their retirement. It's not disability, but I think refunds. So they're getting a service through the IVR without having to speak to someone just to get a status update. So that's good. Since January, we assisted over 13,000 members through the callback assist, which reduced our members having to wait online. And this has also helped reduce our abandonment rate by 22.5% from March of 2022, which was at 48.9% to March of 2023 to 27.2%. So we're very proud of that. And I just have a couple of highlights for member services. On April 3rd, we launched our emails to filter through our new NICE platform, which our calls are now filtered through NICE, which allows the counselors to receive emails through the system. We no longer have to have a counselor sort through each email, touching it twice, and then assigning emails. The counselors can now just come in and start working by logging into the queue and start receiving emails. Now that we're documented, so previously the council will filter each email we received and pulled out all the junk email, uploaded forms, and then assigned it, which meant we were reporting emails that were where we were going to answer and not the actual volume of emails that we was receiving. So if we were receiving over 1,000 emails a day, then we would report that we had 800 that we received because someone was actually going in and pulling out the junk email or uploading forms. So because those are what emails we were not going to work. So I just want to go ahead and let you know that the email numbers may look different on the slides now because no one is doing that. We do have the system going through the NICE system. We did put in some keywords to try to have some emails go directly to deletion. But if the email is not exactly like what we put as the keywords, it will not send it to deletion. It will go over for a counselor to work, and the counselor then have to turn around and send it to deletion. So for a while, you will see the numbers of the volume of the email look significantly higher than what we reported before, and that's because now it's just the true number of emails that we receive, junk mail or whatever it is. But we're still looking into the system and reports to see what we could do to try to alleviate some of that. But the system is still new to us, and we've been adding different things to that system, through that system, so we're still learning all the reports that's there. On April 20th, we launched a chat and self-service under the Reach or Cancel page, and we have staff assigned to that. We are still watching the volume on the chat, and we will continue to assign counselors to that as that volume grows. Right now, in order to utilize chat, you have to go through Orbit self-service, and when you go to Orbit self-service, you will be then verified as a member, and then you can go to the bottom and either reach a cancel email or reach a cancel chat. So we do have that feature as of April 20th.
Is that live chat?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Yes, it is. We're currently working on allowing the members the capability to be able to schedule appointments through self-service, reducing the need to call the call center. We are still working with IT on that, so we hope to offer that in the very near future. So we're still working towards making things going into the future and making self-service more friendly for the members, respecting their time, without having to wait online. So that's all that I have for member services. Do anyone have any questions?
Blake, one quick one, hopefully. So you mentioned the vacancies in the call center, and obviously I'm interested in the HR stuff. Ours is not the only agency dealing with vacancies. So I was wondering, are there root causes of the vacancies that you've identified, and are there any policy or procedure changes, even at the OSHR level, that you could identify to help with those vacancies?
I'm actually excited about the vacancies I have right now. It sounds weird, but because what we're backfilling now are counselors that has decided to go in another direction within RSD. A lot of them have gone over to operations to explore other things. So although it's a loss for the call center, it's still a gain for the agency. So right now we're actually backfilling people who were within the agency or being promoted into another position. So this one time, I hate to have vacancies, but I'm happy that they're still with us. Yes.
Tanya's always looking at the customer service level and wanting it to be better. But I tried to tell her, I said, well, look at last year and look where we've been. Look at how much we've done this past year. Added staff, supervision. She's gone to a new IVR. She's had callback assist added. She's now added chat. They've remodeled the call center, so they've done so many things with the call center. They've raised pay in the call center, so there's so many things that they've done, and it's really helped improve the customer service, which we're still working on. We're hoping that actually the next class, in May, that we actually, fingers crossed, we'll actually have all our positions filled, which we haven't had in a long time, provided nobody leaves us. So we're really excited where it was going. And I think she said last week there was even a brief period of time where the counselors had time to breathe between phone calls, which we haven't experienced in years. So everything that we've done is adding to improving the customer service, and we're really a good trend. Yes, it's not where we want to be at answering calls in this amount of time, and we're still having people abandon us before they get through, but there's still so many improvements, so many things that have been done. And then we just added chat on Friday, so which makes Tanya nervous, but she's they're testing it out. But there's been some wonderful changes in number of services, and so we're really happy that the direction it's going.
Hey,
Now,
Tom.
the people that are doing the chat, are they your counselors that are also answering your phones? And
Not yet.
okay.
So we started with the counselors that's in the education retirement group. So they are, each week they rotate what they do. So we have added a rotation of that week to be chat. And so they will be in the chat queue as well as answering emails. If the volume increases or once it increases, then we will just do chats and do multiple chats. But right now, they're doing chat and email.
Mr. Treasurer, you
Hey,
had
Tom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tanya, thank you for that report. Thank you for the board members' questions. I would like to schedule 15 minutes before 9 at the next board meeting that we invite all the board members who are going to be present to tour the call center. I think it would be helpful to our board members and very empowering for our counselors. So maybe just a little walkthrough, and Chief of Staff Ted Brand can talk about what it was like yesterday, and then people can see what it's like today in terms of how we've tried to improve the space in that area.
Good. And we have Patrick up next.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Patrick Kinlaw. I am the Director of Policy Planning and Compliance. Our team mission is to ensure the long-term health and sustainability of the retirement systems. I have one update for you that's on the slide, number 17, and a few other miscellaneous updates for you this morning. So page 17 discusses one of our team's responsibilities, which is administering invoices under the contribution-based benefit cap, which is also known as anti-pension spiking law. This page shows the cumulative invoices since January 2015. And as you can see, there have been 652 separate retirements since January 2015 that have caused invoices to be sent to employers. During that time, the retirement systems have invoiced more than $69 million and have collected more than $54 million. There were two developments related to rulemaking this quarter. First, the decennial review of all of the division's administrative rules was completed. My notes here say applause. Thank you. And the readopted rules were published in the North Carolina Administrative Code effective March 1st, 2023. That was a very technical process, but a productive one. And we're grateful to all of you as trustees for your leadership and review throughout that process. Second, you might recall that at the January meeting, the local system Board of Trustees approved the text and impact analysis of two administrative rules related to employing units who might want to join the local system in the future, but are not taxing authorities. Those are proposed rules 20 NCAC 02C.0210 and 0211. The proposed rules were published as required in the North Carolina Register on March 1st, and we are currently within the comment period. While on the topic of employers participating in the local system, I want to report to you that one employer has formally ended its participation in the local system. That employer was called MI Connection, also known as Continuum. It was an interlocal agency between the towns of Mooresville and Davidson that operated a cable and internet system. The assets of the system were sold back in 2019, but the agency remained in existence until they stopped having their only remaining employee in 2022. And they paid their withdrawal liability to LGERS to leave the system in January of 2023. A note regarding the board's consulting actuary. In a previous meeting, I reported to you that Buck Global had entered into an agreement to be acquired by Arthur J. Gallagher and Company. That acquisition was completed earlier this month. Buck has informed us that there is no impact on their team, their scope of services, and that we could even keep calling them Buck for now. So I'll keep you posted if that changes. Finally, I just wanted to briefly describe to you the three items in the appendix to today's meeting materials. The first appendix item is a link to all of a list of all the employing entities in the local system and the contribution rates that each of them will be paying effective July 1st, 2023. It includes a breakdown of those rates for law enforcement officers and non-law enforcement officers, for the retirement rate, disability rate, the different components that they pay. All the employers have been notified by email, and the information is also on our website. Our office started doing this email notification last year instead of sending letters to every single employer, and it seems to be going real well. The second appendix item is a document that our office prepared this quarter. Tanya alluded to this a little while ago. This document has been published on our website, and it has frequently asked questions and answers related to tax withholding on retirement benefits. There were changes that the IRS made to its forms and processes for withholding on pension benefits that went into effect January 2023. And our office received many questions from retirees as those changes went into effect. We are limited in what we can say to our retirees about this because we're not positioned or qualified to give them tax advice. But we have prepared this document with some background information that our members can reference and that our counselors have been using to help respond to some of the more commonly asked questions. We have also recommended to employer and retiree groups, just like they encourage retirees to check regularly on who they designate as beneficiaries, that they should encourage retirees to check regularly on their tax withholding preferences. And the third appendix item is called GRS Actuarial Audit Phase 2 Report. This is published by the actuarial firm Gabriel Roeder Smith, who was engaged by the Office of the State Auditor to review the actuarial assumptions, methods, and processes underlying the work that Buck did for the retirement system and that Siegel Consulting does for the retiree health plan. The Phase 1 report I showed you in January and described at that meeting. This is the Phase 2 report that was completed in March, and it focuses on the methods for allocating costs to all the various employing units. And I'm pleased to say that GRS found the methods and calculations were reasonable and they complied with actuarial and accounting standards. That concludes my remarks this morning.
All right, Mr. Treasurer, we're done with item 6. Unless there's questions for Patrick.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge, Treasurer, I just want to acknowledge what Patrick said about these issues with the IRS. And as you've heard me say to this board in the past, anytime that anyone is overpaid or underpaid, it has the potential of putting them in a vortex. And I appreciate Patrick and his team addressing all these issues with our members because this can get very emotional very quickly. So I appreciate all they're doing, both from a call center standpoint and Patrick's standpoint, to reduce the temperatures so we can get the folks the help they need. And with nearly 1 out of 10 adult North Carolinians on this plan, you can imagine things do pop up from time to time. So Patrick and Tanya and Rick and everybody, thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Treasurer.
We're now on to legislative joy, leaving actuarial joy, and calling on Sam Watts. Sam.
Mr. Treasurer, Sam is stuck over at the General Assembly, so he's let me know that Patrick is going to stand in for him.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what my 8th grade teacher taught me about extemporaneous speaking. At the legislature, the big development this quarter has been the passage of the House budget. The House budget contained a few provisions in it that we've been paying attention to because they would affect the retirement systems if they are passed into law. Probably the most significant that got a lot of press attention was the 1% permanent COLA that's included in the House budget that would provide for the state system, the judicial, and the legislative system. It does not provide for the local system. A 1% increase effective July 1st, 2023, and another 1% increase effective July 1st, 2024. The House budget would pay for that COLA through a one-time reserve of $610 million in each of the 2 years of the biennium, which would fully pay the anticipated cost of all the additional payments related to these COLAs in the future. So we do think that's a responsible way to pay for it. That was in the House budget. Also, there was a provision that would extend the maximum retirement age for appellate judges, the required retirement age for appellate judges from age 72 to 76, would affect the consolidated judicial retirement system. There was also a provision about line of duty death benefits that are determined by the Industrial Commission but paid by our office. That would clarify that a public safety officer who is killed while on their way to work is killed in the line of duty. That provision is in a few different bills, but it was also in the House budget. Of course, the Senate budget has not yet been released. There will likely be a conference budget thereafter. But that was the big development in the House budget. There have been no other bills that have passed either House yet with a significant impact on the retirement systems. However, there's one on the Senate floor today for the second reading, Senate Bill 729, which is the bill that represents recommendations from the working group that we convened with the North Carolina School Boards Association about pension spiking laws. And it would put into place some common ground policy provisions for pension spiking laws as they pertain to school systems and some of the unique issues that school systems face with regard to those provisions. Most notably, it would recognize that in some cases, school system employees who invoke the pension spiking law are teachers for a long period of their career. And they're on the teacher pay schedule for a long period of their career. And then they rise to, eventually perhaps central office roles, even superintendent role. There's little control that the school systems have over the salaries up to that point. And so this bill would recognize that and take some actions in the policy to try to give some credit to the amount of liability that's due. Other than that, I'm not the legislative liaison for the agency, so I can't really speak to the prospects of any other bills that you may have heard about or that kind of thing. But happy to take any questions about what we've discussed this morning.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're now on to item 7. Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're now on to item 7. If there's no questions, and Lance Brewer will present an update on the Investment Advisory Committee. And Lance, I don't know if you have our preliminary numbers, but if you don't, I think somebody from staff can provide them to the board. Thank you.
Yeah, Treasurer, good morning. The numbers I've got are through fourth quarter of 2022. So I do not have anything current. So any color there would certainly be appreciated by staff. So fellow board members, staff, treasurer, the Investment Advisory Committee met on February 22nd to discuss the performance of the investments comprising the North Carolina retirement system at the end of fourth quarter 2022. As we all know, fourth quarter continued to see a great deal of interest rate volatility as the Fed continued its anticipated rate hikes in its attempts to curb inflation. As of 12/31/22, the assets under management grew to $165 billion, up $3.3 billion for the quarter. The portfolio remained down $11 billion for the calendar year. Looking at the North Carolina retirement system bucket specifically, its value grew to $109.3 billion for year end. In regards to the composition of this portfolio, the growth portion remained underweighted at 48% of the portfolio. Rates and liquidity remained overweighted at 39%. Inflation sensitive basically stayed on target at 11%, and multi-strategy remained slightly overweighted at 2% of the portfolio. Annualized returns of the retirement system continued to be impressive compared against our benchmarks when you look at 12-month and 3 and 5 year period. For the fourth quarter, we had a annualized return of 3.88% versus a benchmark of 4.86%. a little light there due to our conservative nature of our of the existing portfolio's composition. But if you look at 12-month rolling average, we're looking at a loss of 10.4% versus a benchmark of a loss of 11.87%. So we start to see improvement there. For the 3-year mark, 3.05% versus a benchmark of 3.18%. 5 years, 4.37 versus 4.18 benchmark. And for a 10-year, we're at 5.98 versus a 5.5%. So kudos there to our staff for continued consistent performance across those time periods. And Treasurer, that concludes my report today, and I'll be glad to open up the floor for any questions from other board members.
Thank you for providing that. I think the updated numbers is our fiscal year to date. We're up 3.2%. That's an estimated number. So 3.2% we're up for the fiscal year ended June last June 30th. And I'm looking for my report slant from the IAC, but as you correctly pointed out, I believe the 1, 3, and 5 year numbers are exceeding the benchmark. And that does not, I don't believe, properly take into account that we have one of the lowest risk portfolios around, according to our consultant, the same consultant that the previous treasurer used. So, Lynn, thank you for being participant in not only this meeting, but the IAC meetings, and we'll be glad to take any questions that anybody might have.
We have a question, Mr. Treasurer. Pat Hurley.
Pat Hurley. Just had a question about failure. Did we have anything invested in that?
Anything invested in what, Reverend Hurley?
Failing bank situation in California.
Yeah. Okay. Lance, unless you'd like to, I'd be glad to take that question.
Yeah, Treasurer, I'll defer to you on that. I'm not here with that title level.
Pat, I'll try not to give you war and peace, but when you manage a fund as large as ours is, especially with the fact that we have such a large exposure to what we call index funds, a lot of these banks that you're reading about in the paper were put in these index funds decades ago, I think in some cases with Silicon Valley Bank. So the answer to your question is yes. We did own stock in some of these banks through our index fund exposure. And I would say, even though this is the TSERS boards, that also applies to a smaller degree to the 401 and 457. The answer that's on the stock side. On the bond side, we also had some exposure to some of these entities. I believe, if my memory is right, on the Silicon Valley Bank, on the stock side, I think we had $7 million of exposure, and on the 401k, about $4 million. We don't like losing a penny or a paperclip in the treasurer's office, and don't like reporting this to you, but when you own an index fund, you own the index fund. So that's the exposure on the banks that you're hearing about. Secondly, Pat, Representative Hurley, it's important to know that when these things are talked about in the media, sometimes the things are said in a way that confuses people. So when the Federal Reserve comes out, and that's what I'm dealing with today at our conference, when the Federal Reserve comes out and says we're going to backstop the depositors, a lot of investors feel happy about that. That's not what the Federal Reserve is saying. What they're saying is they're backing the depositors, not the shareholders or the bondholders. I will tell you, as chair of the State Banking Commission, Pat, that NC also stands for no crisis. we oversee with Commissioner Boskin and her staff, who have been working Herculean for the last 12 weeks. We are seeing that our banking system in North Carolina is in great shape. We regulate some state-chartered banks, which obviously you've heard of, which is First Citizens Bank, BB&T Truist, First Bank, and some others. And this transaction with First Citizens Bank taking over Silicon Valley Bank is a major win for the management team at First Citizens Bank, a major win for the shareholders, a major win for the banking system in general, and a major win for the state of North Carolina, because I think it cements us as the second biggest banking center in the United States. I was talking to Chairman Holden the other day when all this was going on about 5 weeks ago, and, you know, he and I are two people that are hard to get to smile from time to time. But he did smile when I said, I'd sure like to be a fly on the wall when the people in San Francisco and Silicon Valley Bank realize that we might talk with accents, but we don't think with one. This is the culture shock between First Citizens Bank and San Francisco is going to be pretty interesting to observe. But this is great news. So to summarize, Pat, we lost money on the equity side. We are working through our bond side, determine where we are on that. But as far as state in general, it was a big win when First Citizens Bank was able to take over Silicon Valley Bank. So we're very concerned about First Republic Bank, Signature Bank, and others. And I will leave this conversation by saying that the people at Silicon Valley Bank were idiots. They simply did not apply any normal banking principles that all of us have grown up with in terms of how to run a bank. But secondarily, they got hammered. When inflation and interest rates went up dramatically, the value of the investments they had, a lot of which were government bonds, dropped dramatically, 15 to 20% in some cases. So when people came in to get some money out of the bank, there was no liquidity to pay them with. So it's a long answer to your short question, but we are still in the process of figuring out exactly what our losses are.
Mr. Treasurer, I got a question. This is Jeff Morris.
By the way, one last thing. As we do from time to time, we will be pursuing all legal action against the management teams of these banks who we've lost money in to try to recoup anything that they may have that we're entitled to. Sorry about that.
Question, Mr. Treasurer. I was under the understanding and listening to the news that the FDIC was going beyond just the depositors, that they were going to secure all of the stockholders and all the investors. Is that not correct?
I would have to be fact checked on that, because I would love it if you were right and I was wrong. But we will be checking that, and we'll be responding to all the board members through an email to confirm that. But I would love nothing better than to say, I'm sorry, I was misinformed on this, and you're right that I'm wrong, because that means we'd be getting our money back.
I'm not sure about my source. It was on CNN, so there's no telling what the information is accurate or not.
Right. I hope you're right.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope I'm wrong.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, we're about item 9. We're back to applications of qualified political subdivisions. Patrick. And Patrick, for the new board members, tell them about the process that we set up to how often a year we do this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Again, this is Patrick Kinlaw, Policy Planning and Compliance. Any eligible employer that desires to participate in the local system can apply to the local board to join the system. We have a process in place that the board reviews these applications at the April meeting where we are today. And any approvals that the board makes become effective for the employer to participate effective July 1st. So it's an annual review process that aligns with the fiscal year. On the agenda this morning are 5 employers who have filed applications to participate beginning July 1st, 2023. They are the Ada Housing Authority with 8 employees, the Carteret County Tourism Development Authority, also known as the Crystal Coast Tourism Development Authority, with 7 employees, the Housing Authority of the City of Lumberton with 32 employees, the Kinston-Lenoir County Tourism Development Authority with 1 employee, and the town of Sparta in Allegheny County with 14 employees. All 5 have submitted resolutions from their governing boards committing to make the required contributions if the board accepts their applications. The Attorney General's office has confirmed that all 5 of these entities meet the legal definition to be eligible to join the retirement system. And retirement system staff, together with staff from the State and Local Government Finance Division of our department, have reviewed the most recent available audited financial statements of each of these employers and found that all 5 meet the basic financial requirements and may therefore be approved by the local board for participation in the local system. The 2nd through 4th pages of the attachment include some more details about each of the employers and particularly about their financial reports that they submitted, including fund balances, year-over-year trends, and relevant findings from their auditors, if there were any. And the board could these 5 employers today to participate effective July 1st. And that concludes my remarks.
Mr. Treasurer, do you want us to proceed?
Yeah, let's proceed. And Patrick, thank you for this. And I just want to tell the board that we go through an exhaustive process. As you can imagine, when you look at some of these applicants, it can get very messy and very local about the viability of some of these entities. And we take extra effort to describe to them what a divorce from our plan could look like if they decided that they want to get in and then later get out. So Patrick and Tom and staff, legal staff, thank you for what you've done to vet these entities. With that, I'll entertain a motion from the local board to accept staff's recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion second being made. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll. The local board.
Treasurer Falwell?
Aye. Aye.
Homer Dearman?
Aye.
Jeffrey Morse?
Aye.
Lance Brewer?
Aye.
Melody Brady?
Aye.
Nancy Vaughn?
Aye.
Vernon Gammon? Treasurer, motion passes.
Thank you all very much. We're now to the part of our agenda, item number 10, annual report on the supplemental retirement insurance. And Tom just explained so people can get their visual on this. I think we're only hearing about dental and vision for retirees, and not things that come under the flex program at OSHR.
Right, this is dental, vision, and identity theft coverage. Well, in your materials is the report, which provides the enrollment data, the total numbers of participants, the costs and services provided by the supplemental insurance products currently offered to our retirees. Pierce Insurance Agency is RSD's third-party vendor for supplemental insurance products. And like I said, the current offerings are dental and vision through United Healthcare and identity theft protection through LifeLock. There are more than 133,000 participants in dental and 113,000 in vision. along with 26,000 in identity theft. And as you can see from the reports, the number of retirees enrolling in the services continues to steadily increase. Now, last year, TSERS did put in an RFQ, resulting in reduced rates, saving retirees about $1.7 million in premiums for dental and vision. And they also enhanced the identity theft protections, which is in the material, with no additional charges. The current contracts that we have for Pierce, United Healthcare, and LifeLock run through December 31st, 2025. And that ends my comments. If there's any questions.
Tom, could you, it's not provided to the board, not that I can see on my paper handouts, are these year-over-year premium, flat premium decreases?
I believe it's in the report. It's 5% reduction in vision and 2% in dental.
Okay. Members, I just want to acknowledge Tom and his negotiating skills and his team. If you were to look at this over 6 years, I think it's actually gone down every year. As we continue to fine-tune our program and take advantage of our largeness. We appreciate our relationship with Pierce and United Healthcare. The only question I had, last question is, do we still have the profit sharing in here?
Yes, Treasurer, we do have the profit sharing. We'll be bringing that to the board in July if there is. I don't have the reports yet. They should be getting it to me next month.
And members, just for the new members, what we were able to negotiate is that this book of business, as you can see, a very large book of business, is more, if it's more profitable than the insurance company forecasted when they bid on the business, then we share in those profits. It was a fantastic negotiation for year-over-year decreases in premiums, but also to have this profit sharing provision in there. So with that, you've heard the annual report on the supplemental retirement plan. I'll need a motion both from the state and the local board. I hear a motion from the state board.
Motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Vernon Gammon and a second from Jeffrey Winstead.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell?
Aye.
Blake Thomas? Aye. Dirk German?
Aye.
John Ebbinghausen? Aye. Joshua Smith?
Aye. Aye.
Oh, thank you. We can hear you now. Liz Brewer? Aye.
Aye.
Margaret Reeder?
Aye.
Oliver Holly?
Aye.
And Pat Hurley? Aye. And the motion passes, Treasurer.
Okay, thank you. I'd like motions from the LGERS board, please.
I'll make a motion. Jeff Morse.
A second.
Nancy Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor Vaughn. Motion second being made. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell?
Aye.
Homer Dearman? Aye. Lance Brewer? Lance Brewer? Don't hear Lance. Melody Brady?
Aye.
Pat Hurley? Aye. Tony Brown?
Aye.
Vernon Gammon?
Aye.
And Lance Brewer?
Aye. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Motion passes, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you all very much. Our next item is inactive employers. I'd like for y'all to hang with us and pay a little extra attention to this. This is a very frustrating part of what we do. As you've just approved some people to become participants in the plan, this is sort of the yin and the yang of that. So I'll turn it over to Patrick to discuss with the board the the drama and the sometimes chaos that he deals with these inactive employers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Patrick Kinlaw, again, Director of Policy Planning and Compliance. This agenda item is a report that is statutorily required to be made by April 30th of each year to the boards. It lists employers who were designated as inactive employers during the previous calendar year, in this case 2022, meaning that they went for a certain amount of time without reporting to the retirement system that they have any employees working in a qualifying position for membership in the retirement system, and they still have not reported any such employees. For the state system, there were no employers meeting this criteria this year. For the local system, there are 12 employing units meeting the criteria, and you can see them listed on the second page of the report. They're the town of Morven from Anson County, the town of Pages Mountain from Caldwell County, Andrews ABC Board in Cherokee County, the Tabor City ABC Board in Columbus County, Craven County Tourism Authority, the Bessemer City ABC Board in Gaston County, the Lillington ABC Board in Harnett County, the Holly Ridge Housing Authority in Onslow County, the Rowland ABC Board in Robeson County, the town of Lake Lure ABC Board in Rutherford County, and the town of Richfield in Stanley County, and the town of Eureka in Wayne County. Now, some of these this year, they have not reported employees to the retirement system in many, many years. A few of these employers, it's been decades since they last reported an employee to the retirement system. And they've kind of been in this limbo status in our retirement system, where they're technically participating in the retirement system as an employer, but they haven't reported any employees to us for a long time. The legislature passed a law a couple of years ago to create a smoother process for identifying these and getting them out of the system, so that if they ever want to rejoin, they'll go through the process we talked about a little while ago to rejoin. But meanwhile, we'll identify them and get them out of the system. Once the board accepts the reports today, which we recommend that the boards do, then we'll inform the employers by May 15th that they're on this list. They can then request to stay in the retirement system for another year if they really intend to hire someone and report them to us. But if they don't request that extension, they will officially exit the retirement system on October 1st, 2023. For future years, when we go through this process, this will usually mean that employer will have to pay a withdrawal liability. But this year is a little different because this is the first year it's come to this with the new legislation, and we have these employers representing years and years of backlog, so to speak. So for these, the way withdrawal liability is defined, they will not have a withdrawal liability. This process essentially gives them a smooth exit without having future questions about their status within the retirement system. So the staff recommendation is that both boards vote to accept this report, even though for the state board, there's no employers identified on it. But for the local board, there are 12.
Okay. Patrick, we'll open up for questions in a moment. I just want to say that that was a very good geography lesson, Patrick. And, I was just hoping that the city of Rockingham was on here so that maybe hear you say Rockingham County instead of Richmond County, which is very confusing. As we proceed, just two quick things. When somebody's not reporting, when the board gets a report going forward, let's put the number of years for which they haven't reported, just to put that in some context. And secondly, for board members, it really does create a lot of drama when later in life somebody thought that people were contributing for them and they weren't into these systems. So that's why I felt strongly about Patrick producing this report and bringing it to you, even in light of the new law. Any questions?
I have a question.
We have a few questions in the room, Mr. Treasurer.
Yes, you run the show.
Okay, Pat Hurley, and I want to ask, I thought that the town of Eureka was taken over. So how?
Yes, Representative Hurley. So my understanding I don't work in this area, but was that the local government commission did take over the finances of the town of Eureka. But even prior to that, the town had stopped reporting any qualifying employees to us, meaning that they might have had employees, but none of them were working in positions requiring 1,000 hours per calendar year. So they didn't have any employees that they needed to tell LGERS about the local government system.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Hurley, that's why they call you the walking encyclopedia, because we have taken over the town of Eureka. Good catch.
Right, and I think you had some interest in that also. There's something in the lake there. Oh.
Patrick, John, in reference to what you said in the treasurer's statement, so if any of the employees from any of these jurisdictions were taken off, if the employees thought they were vested in the system and didn't realize they were paying in, and we removed them, is there any liability from the funds, from the treasurer's office to those individual employees? They turn around and say, well, I was in a local job, I thought I was paying in, the county wasn't doing the right thing, and they can turn around and sue for whatever they believe they're entitled to.
So for example, if there was an employee of one of these employing units who they believe they worked in a position requiring 1,000 hours per calendar year, and they were not reported to us as an employee. So what should be happening when the employer reports is that 6% of the employee's pay should be withheld and forwarded to the retirement system. The employer would make contributions also. And if none of that has been happening, there is a process by which the employer can work with the retirement system to purchase what's called erroneously omitted service. But it is, to some extent, in that situation, the responsibility of the employee to notice that 6% isn't being withheld and contributed to the retirement system. And if it's not happening, there is ability to purchase the service as an erroneously omitted service. If 6% is being withheld and sent to the retirement system, then we would have caught that earlier so that they wouldn't be on this list at this point.
Excuse me, to follow up with John's question, is there any obligation from us to report to them people that they're not being paid in from the board? Is there any obligation that we got to, if they think they've been paid in, is there any obligation from us to tell them, hey, you're not being paid in?
That's a great question, Mr. Gammon. The board's responsibility is to inform the employer by May 15th that they're on this list. And then it's the employer's responsibility to handle communications with their employees.
Thank you.
So Blake Thomas.
One follow-up to maybe questions John Vernon had. So you mentioned a second ago that withdrawal liability will not be required in future years, but this year, withdrawal liability will not be required this year, but will be required in future years. So is there withdrawal liability for any of the LGERS employers listed here? And if so, what's happening to that?
There's no withdrawal liability for these 12 employers. And the reason why is that withdrawal liability is defined in statute based on the employees that the employer had in a retirement system. Right now, it's as of December 2021. And in a typical year, if they went inactive during 2022, and we were just now reporting to them to you, there would be some employees from December 2021 that there would be a withdrawal liability associated with them. In this case, all of these employers actually haven't reported anyone since 2021 or earlier. I think one of them goes back to the 1990s. And so that's why there's no withdrawal liability this year for these 12.
Other questions? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion from the state board to accept the report.
So moved. Second.
Motion second being made. Further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Dale Falwell.
Aye.
Blake Thomas. Aye. Dirk German.
Aye.
John Ebbinghausen.
Aye.
Joshua Smith. Joshua Smith? I don't hear Joshua Smith. Lance Brewer?
Aye.
Margaret Reeder? Oliver Holly?
Aye.
Thank you. Pat Hurley?
Aye.
And Joshua Smith?
Thank you all. Like motion from the elders board, please.
I move. Hurley.
Second, Nancy Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Dale Folwell?
Aye.
Homer Dearman? Aye. Jeffrey Morse? Jeffrey Morse? I don't hear Jeffrey Morse. Lance Brewer?
Aye.
Melody Brady?
Aye.
Tony Brown?
Aye.
Vernon Gammon?
Aye.
And Jeffrey Morse? Okay, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you so much. We're now moving along to item number 12, contributory death benefit alternatives.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Patrick Penlaw. At the January meeting, a very long January meeting, staff and the consulting actuary reminded the boards that the contributory death benefit plan, or CDBP, had a projected actuarial shortfall, and we presented a study of alternatives that had been requested by the boards. The study had been requested by the boards. Your meeting materials have a link back to that presentation from January. At that meeting, staff suggested that of the alternatives studied, alternative number one would have the most meaningful impact on the actuarial measurement, with less impact on retirees and their families. Alternative number one would be for the boards to recommend legislation to allow the State Employees Benefit Trust, which includes the assets of the CDBP, to be invested alongside the retirement system's assets. The governor's budget proposal released in March 2023 includes the legislative language that would implement alternative number one. The boards could today vote to request legislation to implement alternative one, which would it could make that request to the legislature as the Senate budget is being prepared and potentially through the conference budget process. The boards could also take any of the other actions described on page 18 of the presentation from January, or take no action. Both the state and the local boards must approve any decision pertaining to this plan in order for the decision to take effect. And that concludes my remarks.
You've heard Patrick's analysis of the alternatives. I think given the fact that Sam Watts is not there, but that it's in the governor's budget, and I think staff is very comfortable with alternative number one. If we can have a discussion first and a vote second, or we can entertain a motion for a vote and then have a discussion.
So I'll move to request legislation that would implement alternative one.
Okay. From the state board, a motion second being made. Now open up for discussion, and elders folks can listen in or be the similar discussions for your motion. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right, we have a motion second on the floor. As I'm turning 65 this year, I'm actually looking at this not just as the treasurer, but as an individual, and realizing just how high these premiums are if people don't take advantage of them at an early age. So I appreciate all the work that staff's put into this. We have a motion and a second on the floor to pursue alternative number one. Is there any further discussion? And if not, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye.
Dirk German,
Aye.
Jeffrey Winstead. Aye. John Emmickhausen.
Aye.
Joshua Smith. I don't hear Joshua Smith. Lance Brewer,
Aye.
Margaret Rita,
Aye.
Oliver Holly,
Aye.
Pat Hurley.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes, Treasurer.
Thank you. And a like motion from the Elders Board, please.
So moved.
Second.
For alternative one, correct?
Treasurer, we have a
Motion
motion.
second being made. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye.
Jeffrey Morse. Jeffrey Morse. Don't hear Jeffrey Morse. Lance Brewer,
Aye.
Melody Brady,
Aye.
Nancy Vaughn,
Aye.
Pat Hurley. Aye. Sorry. Tony Brown. Vernon Gabbard. Treasurer, motion passes.
Okay. Thank you all very much. We're now on to our resolution discussion. You may, and after that, we'll have our public comment section. You may remember that Blake Thomas handed out a resolution. Then staff sent me the attachments to go through point by point regarding Blake's resolution. I read it this morning, and for some reason I can't pull it back up while I'm talking to you right now. I did want to add that, Blake, I think that possibly 75% of what you were proposing in your resolution is already publicly available. We are continuing to work on not only just the 25% that we're still working on regarding your resolution, but also presenting the 75% that is publicly available in a format so that board members can actually take the resolution that you handed out and see our answers and our links to those.
Treasurer, thank you. This is Blake. That's great news to hear. And I said to Tom before the meeting began, I'm very open to displacing this to a later meeting just to make sure that whatever is done here is efficient, doesn't waste people's time, and ultimately I'm just here because Barbara wanted to get something in writing, and so that's the whole goal. So if y'all would like to take additional time to come back on this, glad to talk about it, but glad to talk about this in any way y'all would like.
Okay. We appreciate the spirit of that because nobody's loafing at the treasurer's office in any corner, and nobody's loafing at OSHR. So we will continue to focus on this and get you the information that you and she requested. And actually, I'm just doing this from memory. Ben or somebody can chime in. The one item about the COLA analysis and historical COLA analysis and that kind of thing, I'm not sure exactly when it was done last, but that was one thing in your resolution that everybody felt that it would be helpful to have that updated. So, but I'm just doing that from memory. Ben, do you have anything to say? Or Jason?
This is Bengard, General Counsel. No, sir, that's it. So, yeah.
I didn't hear you, Ben.
Sorry, Treasurer. This
That's it. No, sir, we covered it. So I think especially the first part, resolution 1, is information that our office was providing up to 2017, easy enough to start providing again and revisit that. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. And thank you, Blake and Director Gibson. We'll now go to our public comment section. Without objection, does anybody sign up for public comment?
Treasurer, we don't have any public comments signups.
Okay. Thank you. We now deem the public comment section to be closed. We'll now not quickly, take your time, go around the horn to see if any Board of Trustees members have anything they'd like to add, and we'll start with those that are joining us remotely.
I would if I could. Thank you. This is Oliver Holly. You know, I normally say something about educators, and I will, but I also want to keep the prayers lifted for the Hertford County, Berkeley County school system, as they have been, and Treasurer Farwell may have been paying attention. There's been a couple of shootings in that community, and one student was shot a few nights ago. But just keep that entire county, that region, the sheriffs in those two counties in our prayers, as we know that the plans we do manages a lot of those deputies and individuals that are doing that work. I also want to give, in closing, a big shout out to Treasurer Farwell, as he did take some time and come and address roughly 300 personnel, team members, HR directors at our recent conference this week. So thank you, Treasurer Farwell, for coming and just having a moment to speak with us about the hard work that the team up there in Raleigh is doing, and just sharing all the great things that we're doing to protect state retirement for our teachers. So thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. And in that presentation, I spent a little bit of time talking about the changing of the transmission from Blue Cross to Aetna. The body of our state health plan hasn't changed, nor is the engine of the state health plan, but the transmission is changing in 2025, and HBRs are such an important component of what we do at the Treasurer's Office, and any opportunity that we have to get them the right information and help them reduce anxiety among any of the folks that report to these. I don't know if it's 3,000 or 1,400 HBRs we have in North Carolina, but they are very much the glue and the switchboard and the front line for so many of our participants in these plans. So thank you for recognizing that, and it was great to be with you.
Mr. Treasurer, this is Jeff Morris. I am going to have to leave the meeting. Just want to notify y'all.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for joining us. We're getting ready to adjourn. Any other members who have any comments?
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing none, I just want to thank the staff. I'm sorry I'm not there. I don't think I've missed a board meeting since I've been the treasurer. And thank you for allowing me to join you remotely. When I saw this, I normally keep things pretty much in track and have a great team, but somehow or another got pulled off into a meeting where I could not be there physically, so I apologize. I hope things are okay at the Treasurer's Office. I hadn't been there in a day or two. It may look like that Patrick Kinlaw might be getting paid by the agenda item that he presents. I'm not sure about that. But,
that reminds me of something else.
I hope that's not somewhere in the details here that we did not catch. But Patrick, thank you for pinch hitting, and you have a much louder voice than Sam does, so we might just have you do that going forward. I just want to thank all the board members for your participation. I do have two things on a personal note that I want to inform you of. One is in a week, not this weekend, but the following weekend, our church, Springfield Friends, which Pat is very familiar with. It's near LA, North Carolina, Lower Archdale. If you go down Highway 2970 or Old 85, it's right behind Fox 8 big TV tower. It's easy to find, but our church is celebrating its 250th anniversary. We were there before our country was officially founded. There's been going to be some fantastic music at 7 o'clock on the Saturday night, and then a normal church service on Sunday, and a potluck afterwards celebrating our 250th anniversary and the importance of Quakers settling into through the Allen J and many others in that area 250 years ago, and the impact that Springfield Friends and so many other friends around that area, Model Farm, had on the creation of many educational entities across in the Piedmont Triad area. So welcome everyone to the musical celebration May 6th, which is Saturday night at 6 o'clock, and come back to the church service. On a different note, the Surrey County Arts Council, which I'm a member of, they're finally breaking ground on their Arts Center. And I know many of you are familiar with the Bunker Twins, Ing and Ang, and they are opening up the new Arts Center on May 11th at 10 a.m. And then later on, we are going to dedicate, probably early next year, the museum in tribute to the Bunker Twins. And in between May 11th, where they're doing the ribbon cutting for the Arts Center, and next January, the Bunker family reunion is going to be held, and I think the ambassador to Thailand, which was the origin country of the Bunker twins, the Bunker families, the joint twins, is going to be coming for the family reunion. I don't think all these folks will be there, but I understand from Tanya, the director of the Surrey Arts Council, that there's nearly 10,000 descendants of these joint Siamese twins. And so it's a big celebration, celebrating the art and the importance that the Bunker family had on Mount Airy over the last 150 years. So that's May 11th. And the Springfield Friends celebration is May 6th at night, and then the church service is May 7th. And those are just interesting things if people have an interest in Mount Airy or the origins of the Quaker religion that I just wanted to take a moment of personal privilege and invite people to. So, anybody else? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion from the state board to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Motion second being made. Furthermore, be sure to check our appendixes for the LGERS employer contribution rate, tax withholding, and some of our actuarial audits. And a motion second being made on the state board. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell.
Aye.
Blake Thomas. Aye. Dirk Sherman.
Aye.
Jeffrey Winstead. Aye. Joshua Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Let's Brewer.
Aye.
Oliver Holland.
Aye.
Aye.
And Pat Hurley.
Aye.
Motion second and carries. And now I'd like motions for the local LGERS board.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Motion second being made. No further discussion. The clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell.
Aye.
Homer Dearman.
Aye.
Lance Brewer.
Aye.
Melody Brady.
Aye.
Nancy Vaughn.
Aye.
Nancy. Thank you. And Pat Hurley.
Aye.
Thank you all. And before we adjourn, our all mercies to our those that teach, protect, and serve, and those that are retired from doing those things. I want to wish everyone a blessed Memorial Day, and especially a blessed Father's and Mother's Day. And with that, if there's nothing further to come before the board, we're hereby adjourned. Thank you very much.